and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Steve's Saturday Morning Drive and Talk, where you join me on my way to work, where I talk about anything EV, motor trade, life in general. But as some of you may know, I actually work in the motor trade. I work in car sales, and at work recently we've had a new starter, and earlier this week he asked me if I've had any hairy moments on test drives. And I was telling him about a few interesting incidents I've had on test drives over the years, and I thought, you know what, that will actually make for quite an interesting, maybe a funny video. So here we go. So I've been in the motor trade for many years. I've probably been on thousands and thousands of test drives with people over that time, and I can honestly say 99.9% of the time a test drive is completely normal, completely routine, nothing special. But every so often you get one that sticks in your memory that you end up talking about for years afterwards. So I thought I'd go through a couple, and don't worry, I'm going to save the best one till last. And see what you think. Anyone out there who works in the motor trade, in car sales, who has any interesting stories, please put them in the comments as well. Be interesting to read any moments that have happened to you. So to kick off, the first one. Now this one actually happened when I was very new to car sales, so I'd barely been out on any test drives on my own before, so this was my first proper one. And I had an elderly couple with me, and they were looking at buying a Mitsubishi Lancer. Don't worry, it's not an Evo, just a standard Mitsubishi Lancer saloon. And the chap that was driving, he was well into his 80s, but they were a lovely couple. And out on the drive, I was sat in the back, they were both in the front, and we were on a nice twisty B road. And then all of a sudden, as we were going around a corner, the gentleman just slammed the brakes on, and we just came to a dead stop in the middle of the road. And I was thinking, what the hell is he doing? But as I looked out the windscreen, in front of us, in the middle of the road, was an old-style Ford Fiesta, upside down, and I could see the driver of the Fiesta was still in the car, hanging upside down in his seatbelt. And just as I was trying to process the situation and make sense of it, my old boy, he was out of the car running towards the Fiesta like hell for leather, and I thought, oh Christ, I better go with him. So I ran over to the car as well, and when we got there, the roof had actually caved in on this guy's head, and he had a massive gash in his head, and there was quite a lot of blood. Fortunately, he was conscious, and as I was thinking, oh no, how am I going to sort this situation out? I could hear a woman running down the hill, and she was shouting, I'm a nurse, and I thought, oh, thank God for that. So anyway, we managed to get him out of the car. We pulled him through the driver's window, carried him over to the side of the road, and he was perfectly conscious and everything, but he did have a nasty gash in his head where the roof came in. Anyway, so someone had called the emergency services, the nurse was with him, we wrapped him in a blanket, and my customer was talking to him, and then all of a sudden my customer turned to me and he went, oh, he will need a new car now. Go on, give him your card. Go on, give him your card. And I just thought, you know what? Now is probably not the right time. I'll leave it if you don't mind. Anyway, so we got back to the dealership, and I definitely needed a strong cup of tea after that one. Another one that springs to mind of interesting test drives. Now this one is more for my own amusement more than anything else. But it was another old boy. I can't remember the car that he had, but he was looking to downsize. He just wanted a little runabout. He didn't really do much driving anymore, just a little local runabout. But the car that he did have, I think it had quite a meaty diesel engine in it, and he was looking at a nice little 1 litre Hyundai i10. So I took him out on a test drive, but he tried to drive the i10 like it was his big meaty diesel. So at 20 mile an hour, we're already in 5th gear, and he's mashing the accelerator pedal into the floor going, oh, this is ridiculous, it's got no power at all. I was trying to explain to him that we're doing 20 mile an hour and he's in 5th gear, we need to be in 3rd. But he did pretty much the entire test drive like that, just in far too high a gear for the speed that we were doing, and criticising the car for having no power, it's gutless and blah blah blah. Anyway, so it was annoying me a little bit, so I directed him back round to the start of the route, and we swapped over. I said, well, I'm going to drive the route that we've just done, and I made sure I did every gear change literally at the rev limiter. And along the twisty B road, I had that i10 stood on its door handles, and he was in the passenger seat hanging on. being thrown around. And I looked across at him at one moment and said, "Do you still think it's slow?" Anyway, there's no way he was going to buy that car, and that was mostly for my own amusement more than anything. And another one that comes to mind, yes, having to be a driving instructor. And I might have to be a little bit careful what I say on this one, but I had a chap in who had moved down from London, I think it was, and he had a full UK driving licence, so a full licence, and let's just say English wasn't his first language. In fact, he had barely any grasp of English whatsoever, but I did manage to figure out that he passed his driving test the year before but hadn't driven since, and he was looking at this was a Hyundai i30 manual. Anyway, so I drove out to a nice quiet car park for him to have his test drive. Anyway, half an hour later, I think we'd moved about 3 yards. The concept of clutch, accelerator, handbrake and bike point just seemed completely alien to this chap. And after half an hour of trying to coach him through just getting the car moving, I suddenly thought, you know what am I doing? I'm giving him a free driving lesson here. So I asked him to get out, and we swapped over, and I drove back to the dealership. But looking back on it, I'm absolutely convinced he probably bought that driving license on the black market shortly after arriving on the channel on a dinghy, probably. But anyway, so so that was acting as a driving instructor for half an hour. That was interesting. And there was another one as well. I was doing a test drive with a chap, and this was a completely normal test drive. Nice chap, driving along, and we were on a national speed limit road at this particular time. We were chatting away as you do, and I had my head turned slightly towards him because I was talking to him, and then suddenly, without warning, again, he just absolutely stood on the brakes from about 50 mile an hour, came to a complete dead stop, and the seatbelt was like strangling me while I'm in the passenger seat, so my neck is hanging off the seatbelt. And when we came to a stop, I said, "What was that for?" And he just went, "I wanted to test the brakes." Well, that's fine, but warn me before you stand on the brakes. The seatbelt's just nearly cut my head off. And oh, jeepers. Yeah, so that was another interesting one. And that reminds me of another one as well. I had a guy in, and bear in mind, he wanted to test drive a Hyundai Tucson. As you can tell, I'm mentioning Hyundai quite a lot. I have spent most of my career working with the Hyundai brand. And so Hyundai Tucson, it's a mid-size family SUV. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's nothing exciting. It's just a competent mid-size SUV, very popular car. Anyway, he asked me if he could test drive it along his route, because we have 3 set routes that we tend to take people on depending on what type of roads that they want to drive along. And I asked him what route he wanted to take, and I thought, oh, that's not too far out the way, not too far at all. So I thought, yes, that's absolutely fine. So again, we're going on the test drive. Everything is absolutely normal, no problem at all. And then we're on a road which is unfamiliar to me, and then I could see a humpback bridge sign coming up, and I could see the humpback bridge coming up in the distance. And most normal people would slow down for the humpback bridge. But all of a sudden, his foot's to the floor, we're accelerating hard towards this humpback bridge. So I'm there going, whoa, so you need to slow down, there's humpback bridge. And he just turned to me and went, yeah, I know, I want to see how well it lands. I went, sorry, you want to see how well it lands? It's a Tucson, it's not a rally car. What do you mean you want to see how well it lands? Anyway, so despite me protesting that we need to slow down for this humpback bridge, we hit the bridge, we took off, and sure enough, we landed with a bit of a thump. And after we landed, he went, oh no, I could feel the suspension hit the bump stops. Well, no, Sherlock. We're in a family SUV, and we've just launched about 4 feet in the air off a humpback bridge. I mean, what were you expecting it to be like? So anyway, that really annoyed me. And I did tell him that when we get back to the dealership, I'll be giving the car straight to the workshop to put on a ramp, and if there's any damage, we'll be sending in the bill. So, honestly, what goes through some people's heads, I have no idea. What situation I think he was ever going to be in where he's got just a family SUV that he needs to launch it off of humpback bridges. I have no idea. But anyway, some people. There was another one as well. Again, this one was just, interesting. You always get people like this occasionally. This chap came in for a test drive. I can't even remember what he test drove. But he made a point of telling me about every other sentence that he was a member of the Institute of Advanced Motorists. Now, when we take people out for a test drive, 99.9% of the time, I drive the car first to a quiet handover point so I can demonstrate a few things on the way out, and then we hand over at a nice safe spot that's nice and quiet. So I drove out, got to the handover point, switched the car off, and he just looked over at me and went, not bad for an amateur driver. I thought, ooh. So anyway, we swapped over, he did his test drive, and his driving was awful. His mistimed signals all over the place, his road position was awful, his lane discipline was absolutely horrendous. On one roundabout we drifted across about 2 lanes. By the time we got back to the dealership, I had to bite my tongue so hard to prevent myself from saying anything, I nearly bit it off. Anyway, again, some people. But the best one, actually the best and the worst one, involves another old boy. This family came in with this chap who was 91. Again, he wanted to downsize to a little runabout. He still wanted his independence, so he still wanted to carry on driving, which is fair enough. And again, it involves a 1 litre i10. Now, I work in Exeter, and there is a hill just outside of Exeter which is notorious. It's called Telegraph Hill or Holden Hill, one or the other. And it's quite popular with people who want to test drive a car because it is a dual carriageway. It has 3 lanes. It's got a crawler lane and 2 overtaking lanes, but it's very steep. And although it's a 70 mile an hour hill, if a car can get up at 70 mile an hour, it's usually a sign it's got a pretty good engine. And I drive this hill every single day, and I know in smaller engine cars, lower powered cars, you have to hit the bottom of the hill at least 1 gear down. So if it's a 5-speed box, you need to be in at least 4th at the bottom of the hill. Some cars you need to be in 3rd and get the revs up to about 5,500 RPM to stand any chance of maintaining your speed up the hill. So anyway, this old boy made it quite clear that he wanted to test the car, a 1 litre normally aspirated i10 with 66 horsepower. He wanted to test what it was like going up Telegraph Hill. So I said, well, that's fine. I said, but you are not going up that hill in 5th gear. So at the bottom of the hill, I want you to change from 5th to 3rd to stand any chance of us getting up that hill at any reasonable speed. So anyway, we're approaching the hill, and there are 2 slow-moving vans in front of us that we're catching. And I'm trying at this point to encourage him to change down because we're about to start going up the hill. Anyway, the road goes to 3 lanes. He shoots out into lane 3 as he's trying to overtake these vans, and we are still in 5th gear. The speed is rapidly dropping off, and all of a sudden we are no longer overtaking the vans. The vans are starting to pull away from us, and then he decides that he needs a lower gear. Only now, he's fumbling around with the gearbox, and he can't get a gear. So he's starting to panic a little. He's fumbling with the gearbox. I'm sat there in the passenger seat going, why can't you get a gear? It's not exactly hard, just get it into a gear. But he couldn't do it, and we ended up rolling to a complete dead stop in lane 3 of a 70 mile an hour dual carriageway up a pretty meaty hill, and the carnage going on behind us. So the horns going, there's cars undertaking us at 70 mile an hour, and anyway, finally he gets it into 1st gear and we pull away. Before that, while we were sat there and the carnage is going on behind us, I literally just curled myself up into a little ball in the passenger seat. I was just waiting for the impact. I genuinely didn't think I was going to make it home that night. And anyway, so we got it into 1st gear, he started pulling away, and I summoned up the courage to actually look out the rear window of what was going on behind us. And it was carnage. There was tyre smoke in the air as cars have locked up to avoid hitting us, and everything's locking up and slamming on the brakes behind. There's cars at funny angles as they've obviously had to swerve to avoid hitting anything. Anyway, we get going, we get to the top of the hill, and there's a pull-in at the top of the hill, and I just told him to pull over. I'm going to drive back to the dealership. And we finally got back to the dealership, and I think it was his daughter, when I got out of the car, she went, "Oh, that can't have been good, because he drove away and you've driven back." I just walked into the dealership and I just went, "Yeah, he needs to stop driving." I just went upstairs and had to calm down for about 20 minutes. And that was that. So yeah, some interesting moments over the years. And when you think about it, I've been on thousands and thousands of test drives, and I get in a car every day with a complete stranger that I've only really met a couple of minutes before, and I have to go out in a car with them, and they have to drive, and they'll be driving me at speeds of up to 70 miles an hour. And my life is genuinely in their hands. It's no wonder half of salespeople are alcoholics. But so it can be quite interesting at times. And there are a couple of other things as well which happen on test drives which are worth mentioning. And one of them, again, bear in mind the thousands of test drives that I've been on, and you get this on pretty much every test drive, and you have to act like it's the first time you've heard it. So you get in the car, you're guiding the customer around your test route, and they inevitably say, "Oh, it's just like being on my test drive." And you have to sit there and go, "Oh, yes, I guess it is. But don't worry, I won't ask you to do an emergency stop." Every time. Anyway. Oh, and there's another thing which just completely baffles me. Now, quite a few years ago, when it became a thing that to start a car, you had to press the clutch all the way in and turn the key before it would start, because a lot of modern cars won't start unless you push the clutch all the way in. When that became a thing, I just found it mind-boggling that customers couldn't figure it out. I mean, when I handed the car over to the customer, I'd get in the passenger seat, get them all set up, all nice and comfortable, and then I would say, "Right, to start the car, just press the clutch all the way in, turn the key, and it will start." And then it goes something like this. "Okay, Mr. Customer, just press the clutch all the way in, turn the key, and it will start." "No, the clutch. No, the clutch. No, press the clutch. There's the one on the left. No, your other left. Right, get out of the car." I mean, honestly, they end up doing river dance on the frigging pedals, trying to go, "Oh, which one's the clutch? Which one's the clutch?" I mean, they've been driving for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, some of these people, and they're dancing on the pedals, not knowing which one the bloody clutch is. And I've got to go out on a test drive with them. I mean, jeepers. I mean, the first time it happened, I just thought the customer's just completely mad. But it happens time and time again. I mean, these people have been driving for so long, and you ask them to press the clutch in, and they don't know which one it is. I mean, jeepers. Anyway, hopefully you found that interesting and amusing. If you are a car salesperson and you have any interesting stories, please put them in the comments. I'm heading to work now, and hopefully I won't get any dicey test drives today, but you never know. But see you on the next one.